The cameras had barely cooled from the last explosive reunion when whispers started flooding social media. Fans scrolled through their timelines, eyes wide, thumbs moving faster than ever. Wait, did Kirk and Jasmine just quit the show? Screenshots of cryptic posts, deleted lives, and blurry behind-the-scenes clips left everyone asking the same burning question: what on earth is happening? Viewers who thought they'd seen it all from this messy duo suddenly realized they hadn't even scratched the surface. The energy backstage was tense, the kind of silence where even a pin drop would feel like a bombshell. Castmates exchanged side-eyes while producers scrambled. They walked out. One crew member whispered. Another swore they saw Kirk storm off set, phone pressed tight to his ear, muttering, "I'm done with this circus." And Jasmine. Eyewitnesses say she slipped out the back entrance in tears, covering her face with oversized sunglasses, refusing to answer questions. For a couple who thrived on attention, this move shocked everyone: co-stars, fans, and even family. Speculations spread like wildfire. Was it the mounting pressure of secrets finally cracking their carefully built facade? Or did some off-camera scandal force producers to push them out quietly? Some insiders claim Jasmine demanded more respect, saying she was tired of being painted as the villain, while Kirk supposedly accused the network of ruining his marriage for ratings. The drama, the betrayal, the rejection was almost too much for fans to process in real time. Twitter Spaces lit up with debates, Instagram comments overflowed with disbelief, and TikTok edits replayed their most iconic meltdowns like memorial tributes. One thing became crystal clear: this wasn't just another storyline. This was a turning point. The Frost legacy and Jasmine's fight for her place in it was unraveling before millions of eyes. And everyone wanted answers. What could drive two of the show's most notorious figures to vanish when the spotlight was burning hottest? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of the franchise itself? When the news first broke, the atmosphere among the cast and crew was suffocating. People whispered in corners, darted nervous looks at each other, and avoided eye contact with producers who were visibly frustrated. Kirk and Jasmine, once the chaotic heartbeat of the show, had become ghosts overnight. Their sudden absence was not only unexpected but disruptive, ripping a hole straight through the fragile balance of drama that kept the cameras rolling. For years, their entanglements had fueled headlines, arguments, and late-night fan debates. But now, all that remained was a cloud of unanswered questions and simmering resentment from those they left behind. Rashida was among the first to break her silence. She had seen this kind of behavior from Kirk before, storming out when the pressure got too heavy, disappearing when accountability came knocking, but this time it felt different. According to those closest to her, she slammed her dressing room door so hard that the mirror rattled, muttering under her breath about how Kirk couldn't stand the heat. She accused him of running away instead of facing the storm he himself had created. When pressed, Rashida allegedly snapped, "He's a coward, and if Jasmine thinks leaving with him is going to fix her reputation, she's dumber than I thought." That sting was felt across the entire set, as people realized Rashida wasn't just angry, she was betrayed, humiliated, and ready to fight back. Meanwhile, Jasmine's decision to follow Kirk off set sparked even deeper speculation. Some crew members swore she looked shaken, clutching her phone and whispering about contracts and legal issues. Others claimed she was furious at being ambushed with questions about her past during filming. The producers had planned a storyline that cornered her, painting her once again as the villain, and Jasmine wasn't having it. "I'm not doing this anymore," she reportedly told a stylist while grabbing her bag. "They think they can play me like a fool, but I'm not their puppet." That single declaration spread like wildfire backstage, igniting debates over whether Jasmine was finally taking control of her narrative or simply retreating when things got too real. Fans watching from the outside weren't given the luxury of full explanations. All they saw were Instagram stories quickly deleted, fragments of shaky behind-the-scenes videos, and paparazzi snaps of Kirk and Jasmine leaving in separate cars, their faces grim. The speculation machine roared to life. Some insisted they were forced out by producers who grew tired of their endless chaos. Others believed Jasmine had uncovered a dark secret, something too damaging to the network, forcing them to silence her. And then there were the whispers about Kirk himself, about money gone missing, deals turned sour, and private arguments overheard by neighbors late at night. The tension around them was so thick that fans began piecing together conspiracy theories like amateur detectives, convinced this was bigger than anything shown on screen. Inside their circle, emotions ran high. Yandy, never one to hold back, reportedly scoffed at the drama, rolling her eyes and calling it just another Kirk and Jasmine stunt. Yet even she admitted something felt different this time. Carly Red, on the other hand, stirred the pot further. hinting during a late-night Instagram live that contracts don't break themselves and people don't just walk away unless the walls are closing in. Her cryptic words only fueled more chaos online, as fans dissected every syllable, demanding answers. Even Kendra, usually quiet, stepped into the fray, suggesting Jasmine might be pregnant again, which, if true, would explain the overwhelming pressure she was under. That rumor alone sent fans into overdrive, with Twitter threads spinning wild theories about Kirk, Jasmine, and the baby that may or may not exist. Backstage, arguments erupted between producers and remaining cast members. The network had invested heavily in Kirk and Jasmine's messy storyline, and without them, the season risked collapsing. "You can't just rip the heart out of the show," one producer allegedly screamed, while another muttered that maybe it was for the best, maybe the toxicity had gone too far. The cast themselves were split. Some, like Rashida, felt abandoned and betrayed, while others were quietly relieved, tired of constantly orbiting around Kirk and Jasmine's scandals. Yet no matter where they stood, one thing was clear: the departure left a gaping wound in the narrative, and everyone was scrambling to figure out how to fill it. Then came the bombshell. A leaked audio clip began circulating online, allegedly of Kirk arguing with a producer. In the clip, Kirk's voice could be heard saying, "I won't let you ruin me. You already destroyed my marriage. You turned Jasmine into a joke, and now you want us to play along while you twist the knife. I'm done." Whether real or fabricated, the clip lit a firestorm. Fans were outraged, questioning the ethics of the production. Was the show deliberately exploiting Kirk and Jasmine's personal pain for ratings? Had they finally drawn the line? The idea that Kirk, a man who had lived comfortably in the role of the scandalous antihero for so long, would walk away out of self-preservation shocked even his harshest critics. Meanwhile, Jasmine's silence became deafening. She posted nothing, said nothing, leaving fans to wonder if she was plotting her next move or hiding from the backlash. Rumors swirled that she had hired a lawyer, that she was preparing to tell her side of the story in a tell-all interview, maybe even a podcast. Some whispered she was negotiating her own reality show spin-off, eager to step out of Kirk's shadow once and for all. Others thought she was genuinely broken, retreating from the spotlight because the pressure had finally crushed her. The uncertainty only deepened the intrigue, making every silence, every unposted selfie, every absence feel like a clue. All of this chaos spilled into the fanbase, splitting them right down the middle. Half the audience begged Kirk and Jasmine to return, claiming the show wasn't worth watching without their messy energy. The other half called them out as attention seekers, demanding the network focus on other storylines and let the couple fade into obscurity. Hashtags trended for days, with hashtag Team Kirk, hashtag Justice for Jasmine, and hashtag LHHATL, scandal dominating TikTok edits dramatized their departure with slow-motion clips, dramatic music, and captions like the end of an era. Fan pages debated whether this was staged for publicity or the real final curtain call. The sheer volume of speculation made it impossible for anyone to look away. Through it all, the rest of the cast braced for the fallout. Rashida, still simmering with anger, began talking openly about betrayal in her confessionals, while Yandi teased that the truth would blow people's minds. The producers, sensing they couldn't let the momentum slip, started dropping hints of explosive revelations in upcoming episodes, promising viewers that answers were coming. Yet behind the scenes, even the most seasoned castmates admitted they had no idea what was really going on. Everyone was on edge, waiting for the next domino to fall. And as the storm swirled, one thing became impossible to deny. Kirk and Jasmine's decision to walk away wasn't just another storyline. It was the beginning of something bigger, something darker, something that threatened to unravel not just their reputations, but the very fabric of the show itself. The very fabric of the show itself. The cameras may have stopped rolling on their final scene, but the real drama was only just beginning, and nobody, not the cast, not the producers, not the fans, was ready for what came next. The days following Kirk and Jasmine's dramatic exit only fueled the mystery. The production team tried to maintain control, but rumors slipped through cracks like water seeping into broken glass. One insider whispered that Kirk had gotten into a shouting match with a producer in the parking lot, his voice echoing so loud that nearby security guards rushed over. "You think you own me? You think you can drag my family through the mud for your little ratings game?" Kirk allegedly roared, his fists clenched tight. Jasmine, standing a few steps behind him, was said to be crying silently, whispering, "Let's just go, Kirk, please." That image alone, Jasmine pleading with him to leave, spread backstage like wildfire. For the first time, it wasn't Jasmine causing chaos. It was Kirk unraveling in public view. Rashida's anger only grew sharper. She went on Instagram Live the very next day, not naming names but making it painfully obvious who she was talking about. Some people love the spotlight until it burns too bright, and then suddenly they're victims, she said with a cold smirk. But let me tell you, walking away doesn't erase the truth. Fans flooded the comments, begging for clarity. But Rashida only sipped her drink and gave a pointed look into the camera before logging off. That single clip was replayed and dissected thousands of times. Viewers debated whether she was heartbroken, vindictive, or simply tired of carrying the burden of Kirk's scandals. One thing was clear: she wasn't backing down, and she wasn't letting Kirk and Jasmine leave quietly. Meanwhile, Jasmine's absence from social media made everything worse. People were so used to her posting cryptic captions, subtweets, or glamorous selfies that her silence felt like a scream. Speculation ran wild. Was she pregnant, as Kendra had hinted? Had she signed an NDA with the network, muzzling her from speaking out? Or was she secretly plotting revenge, waiting for the perfect moment to drop a bombshell interview that would flip the narrative in her favor? Fans created entire threads guessing what her next move might be, analyzing old interviews, matching timelines, even zooming into blurry paparazzi photos that showed her leaving a lawyer's office downtown. The mystery only added fuel to the fire. Producers scrambled to contain the chaos. With two central figures gone, the season's storyline collapsed overnight. Meetings dragged on late into the night, with executives demanding solutions. One idea floated around was to pivot the season toward Rashida's journey as a woman scorned, giving her the spotlight to rebuild herself while throwing subtle shade at Kirk and Jasmine. Another was to push Yandi and Carly Red into bigger conflicts, hoping their quick tongues and fiery personalities could keep viewers hooked. But no matter how they tried to spin it, the reality was unavoidable. Kirk and Jasmine's departure left a hole so wide, it threatened to swallow the show. Behind closed doors, the cast couldn't stop talking. Carly, in true Carly fashion, was the loudest, hinting to anyone who would listen that the situation was way deeper than what you think. On a late night live, she dramatically declared, "You can't just walk out without reason. Trust me, when y'all find out the truth, phew, it's bigger than money. It's bigger than cheating. This is about survival." Her cryptic delivery sent fans spiraling into conspiracy theories. Some claimed Kirk was in financial trouble again, owing debts to the wrong people. Others believed Jasmine had discovered secrets about the network itself, something so damaging it forced them to silence her. The lack of answers only heightened the anticipation, turning every small rumor into headline-worthy drama. As the speculation peaked, an anonymous source leaked supposed text messages between Jasmine and another cast member. The texts hinted at betrayal, with Jasmine allegedly writing, "I can't trust anyone, they want to destroy me, and Kirk's no better. At least if I leave, I have a chance to breathe." The authenticity of the texts was impossible to prove, but fans didn't care. Screenshots flooded Twitter and Instagram, each one dissected for hidden meaning. Was Jasmine throwing shade at Kirk? Or was she calling out the producers? The ambiguity gave fans exactly what they wanted: endless drama to keep them glued to their screens. Then came the paparazzi photos. One blurry shot showed Kirk alone at a downtown bar, his head in his hands, looking defeated. Another captured Jasmine shopping with a friend, her face hidden behind oversized shades, her body language tense. Together, the images painted a picture of a couple fractured, moving separately through a storm they could no longer control. Blogs exploded with captions like "The Frost Empire in Ruins" and "Jasmine's Silent Revenge." Every outlet scrambled for exclusives, desperate to be the first to reveal the truth. For fans, the chaos was almost intoxicating. Some felt betrayed, furious that Kirk and Jasmine had abandoned the show that gave them fame. Others rallied behind them, claiming the network had exploited them for too long. Comment sections turned into battlefields, with hashtags like #BringBackKirk and Jasmine and #GoodRiddance trending simultaneously. TikTok creators posted dramatic reenactments of the rumored fights, while fan pages stitched together montages of their most iconic moments with captions like, "Was this the last time we'd see them together?" The frenzy reached such heights that even celebrities outside the franchise started weighing in, adding fuel to the already blazing fire. Through all of this, one question echoed louder than any other. Was this truly the end of Kirk and Jasmine on the show? Or was it just the setup for the biggest storyline yet? The uncertainty hung in the air like a storm cloud, electrifying everything it touched. And deep down, fans knew they were on the edge of something monumental, something that would either destroy the legacy of love and hip-hop, Atlanta, or cement it forever in reality TV history. By the third week, what started as whispers had grown into a roar. Fans were no longer just gossiping, they were demanding answers. Everywhere you looked, the name Kirk and Jasmine dominated the conversation. Talk shows picked up the story, YouTube channels ran hour-long breakdowns, and Twitter threads dissected every movement, every silence, every screenshot. The show's producers, usually masters at spinning chaos into gold, suddenly found themselves losing control of the narrative. For once, the drama wasn't on their terms. It was spiraling in the hands of the fans. Insiders claimed the network was in full-blown crisis mode. Leaked memos suggested executives were split down the middle. One faction argued that Kirk and Jasmine should be coaxed back at any cost, with hefty paychecks and promises of softer editing. Another faction wanted to cut ties completely, worried that their unpredictable behavior could tank the season. Meanwhile, lawyers were allegedly circling. Rumors spread that Jasmine had threatened to sue the network for defamation, citing years of being portrayed as the other woman while her side of the story was ignored. Whether true or not, the mere possibility had executives sweating bullets. Rashida, however, wasn't buying the victim act. At a private dinner with close friends, one of whom wasted no time leaking details, she reportedly vented her frustration in raw, unfiltered words. Jasmine knew exactly what she was signing up for. Don't let her fool y'all. She played the villain because she liked the attention. Now that it's not cute anymore, she wants to cry foul. Please, those comments, once leaked, exploded online. Some fans applauded Rashida for speaking her truth. Others accused her of being bitter and jealous, unwilling to admit that Jasmine might have finally taken the high road. Either way, Rashida's words ensured her name remained tethered to the scandal, no matter how hard she tried to step away. Meanwhile, Kirk couldn't stay invisible forever. Paparazzi caught him outside a recording studio, looking tense as he muttered into his phone. Eyewitnesses claimed they overheard him saying, "It's not worth it, man. I've already lost too much." Blogs speculated he was talking about his marriage, his reputation, or even his role on the show. Theories spun out of control. Some believed Kirk had a secret deal brewing, maybe even a Tello book. Others insisted he was done with television altogether, planning to retreat into obscurity. The uncertainty was maddening for fans, who were used to Kirk thriving on the spotlight. His silence felt like an act of rebellion. The rest of the cast couldn't resist jumping in. Carly Red, queen of stirring the pot, hinted during an interview that the things you don't see on camera are 10 times worse than what you do. Her sly smile only deepened the mystery. Yandi rolled her eyes on Instagram, saying she was tired of people acting like Kirk and Jasmine were irreplaceable. The show goes on, with or without them, she declared. But behind that confidence, even Yandi knew the ratings told another story. Viewership had dipped noticeably since the scandal erupted, proving that fans weren't exaggerating when they said the couple was the glue holding the drama together. Then came the most shocking twist yet, a leaked clip from an unaired scene. In it, Kirk and Jasmine were allegedly caught in a heated argument with producers. Kirk shouted, "You set us up. You wanted us to fight on camera, you pushed her to the edge, and now you want to act innocent." Jasmine, in tears, added, "I'm not your storyline anymore. I'm done being the villain." The clip, grainy and incomplete, spread like wildfire. Some fans doubted its authenticity, claiming it was edited or taken out of context. Others swore it was the smoking gun that proved the network's manipulation. Either way, it was undeniable. The scandal had now shifted from being about Kirk and Jasmine's relationship to the entire integrity of the show itself. The online debate reached fever pitch. Reddit threads exploded with fans arguing over who was really to blame. Some defended Kirk and Jasmine, saying they were pawns in a ruthless ratings game. Others insisted they were drama-hungry opportunists who couldn't handle the fallout of their own actions. Hashtags like hashtag LHHATL exposed and hashtag protect Jasmine started trending, while fan-made petitions circulated demanding the network issue a statement. The noise was deafening, and yet, Kirk and Jasmine themselves remained silent. That silence became their most powerful weapon. Every day they refused to speak, the intrigue grew. Every fan theory, every leaked rumor, every paparazzi sighting only made their absence louder. And behind the scenes, the rest of the cast felt the weight of their decision. With cameras still rolling, they struggled to fill the void. Scenes that once revolved around Kirk's bad decisions or Jasmine's bold comebacks now felt flat, missing the spark that kept fans glued to their screens. Producers tried pushing Rashida into bigger confrontations, urging her to address the scandal directly, but even she couldn't carry the burden alone. By now, it was no longer just about a couple walking away. It was about the future of the entire show. Could Love and Hip Hop Atlanta survive without its most chaotic duo? Or had Kirk and Jasmine managed the unthinkable, bringing the empire to its knees by simply walking out the door? The question hung in the air like smoke after a fire, leaving everyone waiting for the next spark. As the weeks dragged on, the scandal began to reshape everything around it. Kirk and Jasmine, once dismissed as messy side characters by critics, suddenly became the centerpiece of a much larger narrative, one that blurred the line between television drama and real life. Chaos. Every gossip blog, every YouTube commentator, every Instagram meme page was feasting on their absence. It wasn't just about whether they'd return. It was about the domino effect their departure set off, both on the show and in their personal lives. The tension spilled into Rashida's world in ways she couldn't ignore. She tried to focus on her businesses, appearing polished and unbothered in public. But insiders claimed her frustration boiled over behind closed doors. At one boutique event, she reportedly snapped at a fan who asked whether Kirk was really gone for good. "Why don't you ask him? I'm not his babysitter," she spat, before quickly regaining composure. That sharp edge hinted at the storm brewing beneath her cool exterior. For Rashida, Kirk walking away from the show wasn't just unprofessionally, it was personal. It meant unfinished business, unanswered questions, and wounds ripped open yet again in front of the world. Meanwhile, whispers about Jasmine refusing to sign renewal contracts grew louder. Some claimed she had walked away because producers insisted on dredging up her old storyline with Kirk yet again, painting her as the perpetual mistress. Others said she was fighting for more pay, demanding to be treated as a lead instead of a side character. Whatever the reason, her absence created a vacuum, and that vacuum sucked the rest of the cast into its chaos. Carly Red began teasing that the truth about Jasmine would come out soon. Yandi doubled down on her dismissive stance, but fans noticed her shade seemed sharper than usual, almost as if she was threatened by Jasmine's growing influence even in silence. The fans themselves became divided into camps more aggressively than ever. Hashtag Team Rashida versus hashtag Team Jasmine debates flooded timelines with people creating elaborate video essays defending their chosen queen. One viral TikTok broke down the entire Kirk Jasmine timeline like a courtroom case, arguing that Jasmine had been exploited by producers since day one. Another video claimed Kirk's ego couldn't handle losing control, so he stormed out when producers stopped protecting him. These fan-driven narratives became so detailed, so convincing, that casual viewers who hadn't watched in years tuned back in just to see what the fuss was about. And yet, Kirk couldn't resist the spotlight for long. He finally surfaced on Instagram with a cryptic caption under a photo of himself sitting in a dark room. "Sometimes you gotta walk away to find peace." The post immediately set the internet on fire. Fans demanded explanations. Critics accused him of playing the victim. And Rashida's supporters flooded the comments with snake emojis. Within hours, Jasmine deactivated her account completely, only adding to the chaos. That contrast, Kirk making vague statements while Jasmine disappeared, only deepened the mystery. Was Jasmine protecting herself from the noise, or was she plotting something bigger? Then came another A blog known for reliable leaks dropped an alleged production memo. In it, producers supposedly discussed how to contain the fallout of Kirk and Jasmine's exit, including strategies like reshuffling storylines and fast-tracking new drama with other couples. The memo even hinted that the network was considering a spin-off focusing solely on Kirk and Jasmine, using their departure as the launchpad for a new franchise. Whether the memo was real or fake, fans didn't care. The idea of a Kirk and Jasmine-centered show immediately went viral, with people speculating what it might look like. Would it be raw and unscripted, showing them away from the cameras that vilified them? Or would it be even messier, capitalizing on their reputation as reality TV's most toxic duo? Through all this, the rest of the cast scrambled to adjust. Rashida leaned harder into her independent boss persona, showing off her businesses on camera. Yandi positioned herself as the voice of reason, though her jabs at Jasmine betrayed her frustration. Carly, ever the opportunist, hinted she might expose secrets of her own, threatening to shift the spotlight back to herself if Kirk and Jasmine refused to return. But despite their efforts, it was obvious who still dominated the narrative. Every headline, every trending hashtag, every heated debate circled back to the couple who weren't even on screen anymore. Behind the scenes, executives debated whether to bring them back for a dramatic mid-season return. One source claimed the network was dangling a massive paycheck, hoping to lure them back for a reunion-style confrontation with the rest of the cast. Another insisted Kirk was standing firm, telling associates, "I'm not coming back just to be your punching bag." Jasmine, according to insiders, was torn. On one hand, she wanted vindication. On the other, she was exhausted by years of humiliation. That internal conflict only made her silence more powerful every day. She stayed quiet. Fans filled in the blanks with their own theories. The longer the saga dragged on, the more it felt less like reality television and more like a cultural moment. Late-night hosts cracked jokes about the Kirk and Jasmine mystery. Bloggers compared their disappearance to a season finale cliffhanger. Even mainstream outlets, usually dismissive of love and hip-hop, picked up the story, framing it as a debate about exploitation versus accountability. In reality TV, the scandal had escaped the confines of VH1 and landed squarely in the broader conversation about fame, power, and control. And yet, beneath all the noise, one chilling thought lingered. What if Kirk and Jasmine weren't planning to come back at all? What if this was truly the end of their chapter? A silent rebellion against the system that made them stars but also chewed them up and spat them out. If that was true, then the fans weren't just watching a storyline collapse, they were witnessing the death of an era. And nobody, not the producers, not the cast, not even the viewers, glued to their screens, was prepared for what that really meant. The silence surrounding Kirk and Jasmine had stretched so long it felt unnatural, like a pause in a song that should have already dropped its beat. Fans weren't used to this version of them. Normally, both thrived in the storm weather. It was Kirk defending himself from accusations or Jasmine clapping back at haters. They always gave the public something to chew on. But now, nothing. That nothingness became the loudest noise of all, fueling a frenzy nobody could contain. It started with a rumor that Jasmine had secretly flown out of Atlanta to stay with relatives. Paparazzi photos showed someone who looked like her in Miami, walking hand in hand with a mysterious man, but the angle was blurry. Blogs posted it anyway, calling it Jasmine's new escape. Fans immediately began speculating, was this a new relationship, or was it just a family member helping her hide from the chaos? The photo sparked so much drama that Kirk himself couldn't resist responding. He hopped on Instagram stories late at night, clearly agitated, saying, "Don't believe everything you see. Y'all want a circus, but I'm not giving you one." The irony, of course, was that by saying that, he gave fans exactly what they wanted: confirmation that he was watching, that he was bothered, that he wasn't as detached as he pretended to be. His story was reposted thousands of times, dissected frame by frame. One fan even slowed down the clip and pointed out that Kirk's voice cracked slightly when he said, "I'm not giving you one," suggesting he wasn't just irritated but hurt. That tiny moment went viral, trending under the hashtag #CrackedKirk. Meanwhile, Rashida wasn't staying quiet. She showed up at a launch event for her new product line, dressed impeccably, her energy sharp as ever. But when a reporter casually asked how she felt about Kirk and Jasmine's absence from the show, her smile tightened into something colder. "They can leave if they want," she said evenly. "Some of us are built for this. Some of us crumble. Either way, I keep pushing." That line alone was enough to send social media into overdrive. Fans saw it as a jab straight at Jasmine, implying she couldn't handle the heat. Jasmine's defenders clapped back online, saying Rashida was only tough because she had the network protecting her. The divide between #Team RASHEEDA and #Team Jasmine deepened, with both sides growing louder and more ruthless in their defense. But what nobody saw coming was the leaked footage that surfaced 2 nights later. A grainy, behind-the-scenes video hit the blogs, allegedly recorded during one of the last filming days before Kirk and Jasmine walked away. In the video, voices are raised, though the angle doesn't reveal much. Kirk is heard shouting, "You've been using my family for storylines for 10 years. 10 years. Then, Jasmine's voice cuts through, shaking but fierce. "I'm done letting y'all paint me as the villain. Done." The clip ends abruptly, but the impact was explosive. Within hours, #10years was trending. Fans created montages of Kirk's most scandalous moments, overlaying them with captions like "exploited" or "exposed." Others made TikTok edits of Jasmine crying in earlier seasons, captioned with "done" in bold letters. The conversation shifted. Suddenly, it wasn't just about whether Kirk and Jasmine had quit, but about whether the show itself was guilty of pushing its stars too far. Producers scrambled to control the damage, but the cast wasn't helping. Carly Red jumped on Instagram Live, fanning the flames as usual. "Let's be real," she said, sipping wine dramatically. "Some people only walk away when they've got something to hide. Y'all think it's about being exploited? Or maybe It's about secrets they don't want exposed. That single insinuation launched a storm of speculation. What secrets could she be hinting at? Money troubles? A new affair? Something criminal? Fans latched onto every possibility, running wild with theories. Yandi, always the one to insert herself into chaos, took a different approach. In her next confessional taping, she looked directly into the camera and said, "If you can't handle the heat, don't step into the kitchen. We've all been dragged. We've all had our reputations tested, but the real ones stay and face it." It was a bold statement, clearly directed at Jasmine, and the fans ate it up. Memes of Yandi's "real ones stay" line flooded Twitter, sparking arguments between viewers about whether Jasmine was weak or simply wise for walking away. As for Jasmine, her silence was becoming a character of its own. Fans began counting the days since her last post, making memes that read "Day 27 without Jasmine. Still no answers." When she finally broke the silence with a single, cryptic tweet, "The truth will set you free," the internet exploded. Was she planning an interview? A tell-all? A lawsuit? That one sentence generated millions of impressions, and fans began refreshing her page obsessively, waiting for the next breadcrumb. Meanwhile, the tension between Kirk and Rashida grew thicker. Neighbors reported hearing loud arguments spilling from their house late at night. One claimed Rashida shouted, "You embarrassed me on national TV for the last time," while Kirk fired back, "You think you're innocent in all this? You knew what they were doing." Though unconfirmed, the story gained traction online, with tabloids running headlines like "Frost Home in Flames," "Marriage on the Brink." The idea of their household collapsing under the weight of reality TV became yet another layer in the already chaotic narrative. Even more shocking was the emergence of a supposed tell-all blog post from an anonymous insider. The post claimed Kirk had been fighting with producers over financial disputes, accusing them of withholding money from appearances. It also suggested Jasmine discovered a secret contract clause that made her feel trapped, forcing her to lash out. Whether fact or fiction, the post went viral within hours, with fans dissecting every word like gospel. The mystery surrounding Kirk and Jasmine had now turned into a full-blown mythology, with every new leak adding to their legend. The ratings told their own story. Episodes without Kirk and Jasmine saw noticeable dips in viewership, leaving producers panicked. In a desperate attempt to claw back attention, they teased an explosive reveal in upcoming promos. Clips showed Rashida slamming a door, Yandi crying during a confessional, and Carly gasping dramatically at a dinner table. Fans speculated endlessly about what the reveal could be. Some thought it was news of Jasmine's pregnancy. Others believed it was proof of a betrayal between cast members. Whatever it was, the producers knew one thing: without Kirk and Jasmine, they needed a miracle. But the couple themselves seemed unbothered. Paparazzi finally spotted them together in Atlanta, walking into a quiet restaurant late at night. They didn't speak to reporters, but their body language told its own story. Close, tense, but united. For some, it was proof they were weathering the storm together. For others, it was a sign they were plotting something bigger, a comeback that would leave the world gasping. The sighting sent fans into a frenzy, with hashtags like #TheyReBack and #Kirk and Jasmine Return blowing up overnight. And still, the question lingered: were they truly gone for good, or were they about to pull off the most shocking reality TV twist of all time? The suspense was unbearable, the drama unmatched. And every fan knew one thing for certain: whatever came next would change the game forever. The sight of Kirk and Jasmine together in public again sent shockwaves through every corner of the fandom. Within minutes, paparazzi photos of them leaving the restaurant were plastered across blogs and Instagram pages. The images were blurry, but the tension in their body language was undeniable. Jasmine walked slightly ahead, clutching her purse tightly, her jaw clenched as if she were bracing against an invisible storm. Kirk followed a step behind, phone in hand, expression unreadable. Two outsiders. It looked less like a couple enjoying dinner, and more like two fugitives preparing for a trial. Fans instantly divided into camps. Some saw the pictures as proof they were standing strong together, weathering the chaos as a united front. Others insisted it was all for show, a staged sighting designed to keep people talking. Either way, the moment reignited the frenzy. Blogs ran headlines like "Together Through the Storm," while Twitter buzzed with threads debating whether Kirk and Jasmine were plotting a comeback or simply clinging to relevance. The truth. Then the rest of the cast combined. Then came the twist that nobody saw coming. A bombshell article in a major entertainment magazine. The piece claimed that Jasmine had quietly filed legal paperwork against the network, accusing them of breach of contract and intentional emotional distress. The magazine cited anonymous sources who said Jasmine had been pressured to participate in humiliating storylines, threatened with being blacklisted if she refused, and even cornered into confrontations designed to break her down emotionally. The article painted her not as the villain but as the victim, an exploited woman finally standing up for herself. The internet exploded. Hashtags like #JusticeForJasmine and #LHHATLExposed began trending worldwide. Fans who once mocked her suddenly rallied behind her, demanding accountability from the network. Kirk's role in the lawsuit was murky. Some claimed he was standing firmly by Jasmine's side, refusing to return to filming until she got justice. Others whispered that he was only staying close to protect his own reputation, fearing the fallout if Jasmine turned her fire against him too. Regardless, the power dynamic had shifted. For the first time, Kirk and Jasmine weren't just the messy couple at the center of the drama, they were a symbol of everything wrong with reality TV. The rest of the cast responded in predictable fashion. Carly Red teased that she had her own truths about how producers manipulated storylines. Yandi doubled down, insisting that while the industry was tough, everyone knew what they were signing up for. Rashida, meanwhile, grew visibly colder in public appearances, refusing to speak Kirk's name and focusing entirely on her businesses. Fans debated endlessly about where loyalty should lie. Was Jasmine a brave whistleblower or a manipulative opportunist? Was Kirk protecting her or protecting himself? Was Rashida bitter or simply exhausted? Every answer depended on which camp you belonged to, and the divide only grew wider. Then came the most dramatic development yet: a leaked promo for the upcoming reunion episode. In the clip, Rashida is seen storming off stage after a heated exchange. Carly is shown wiping away tears, and Yandi points her finger across the room, shouting, "You knew the truth, and you kept quiet." The teaser ended with the ominous words, "The truth will finally come out." Fans immediately assumed Kirk and Jasmine were the truth being referenced. The possibility of their surprise appearance at the reunion sent social media into a frenzy. "They're coming back," one fan wrote. "Mark my words, the Frost saga isn't over." But when the reunion finally aired, Kirk and Jasmine were nowhere to be seen. Instead, the cast tore each other apart over their absence. Rashida broke down, her voice cracking as she admitted how betrayed she felt. "He didn't just leave the show, he left me standing alone." Again, Carly accused the network of hiding things, while Yandi scoffed that Kirk and Jasmine were milking their 15 minutes. The episode ended with no closure, no answers, just more questions. Fans were furious and hooked in equal measure. Ratings spiked for the reunion, but the backlash was brutal. People flooded the network's socials with angry comments demanding transparency. In the aftermath, Kirk and Jasmine finally re-emerged with a joint statement on Instagram. Posing side by side, they wrote, "We are choosing peace over chaos. Thank you to everyone who has supported us through the lies, the pain, and the noise. Our story is not over, but it will be told on our terms." The post shattered the internet. Within minutes, it had millions of likes and comments. Fans screamed that this was confirmation of their spin-off. Others begged them to come back to the original show. Either way, the Frost Washington saga was far from finished, had only evolved. And for the network, for the cast, and for the fans, one truth became undeniable: Kirk and Jasmine had done what nobody thought possible. By walking away, they had become bigger than the show itself. The cameras could stop rolling, the contracts could expire, the producers could scramble, but the legend of their departure would live on, whispered, debated, and argued about long after the season ended. The joint Instagram statement from Kirk and Jasmine was supposed to be a conclusion, but instead, it was a spark that reignited the wildfire. Fans weren't satisfied with vague captions anymore, they wanted details, answers, confessions. The post, simple as it was, became the most dissected piece of content in the franchise's history. Analysts on YouTube broke down their body language in the photo: Jasmine's crossed arms, Kirk's forced half-smile, the slight distance between their shoulders. Was it unity, or was it a facade? One commentator declared, "This is not Lovett's strategy." Another claimed, "They're showing us that no matter what, there's still a brand." The debate grew louder with every passing hour. Meanwhile, the network scrambled to regain control. Leaks suggested executives were furious at the couple's statement, claiming it undermined the narrative they'd built for years. One producer allegedly ranted during a meeting, "They think they can just walk away and spin their own story. Not on my watch." But the truth was clear: the network had lost control. For the first time, the power belonged not to the producers but to the stars themselves. Kirk and Jasmine's silence had turned into leverage, and they knew it. Behind closed doors, discussions of a spin-off intensified. Rumors circulated that several streaming platforms were in negotiations, each eager to cash in on the chaos. Netflix, Hulu, even Zeus Network were all allegedly interested in telling the untold truth of Kirk and Jasmine. Fans salivated at the possibility, imagining an uncensored, raw look at the couple's life away from VH1's editing room. Can you imagine the Frosts on Netflix? One viral tweet asked. No bleeped-out words, no fake edits, just pure mess. The excitement for the potential series grew so massive that it overshadowed the original show entirely. Meanwhile, Rashida fought to reclaim her spotlight. She threw herself into her businesses, appearing in interviews where she spoke less about the show and more about her grind. But no matter how polished she appeared, the questions always circled back to Kirk. Do you support him? Reporters asked. Would you appear on his spin-off? Her patience wore thinner by the day. At one event, she snapped, I'm not going to sit around waiting for a man to figure himself out. I've got my own empire. Her words were empowering to some, heartbreaking to others, but undeniably, they revealed the cracks in the foundation of her marriage. The tension finally boiled over during a public confrontation that became instant tabloid gold. Kirk and Jasmine attended a charity gala, making their first official appearance as a couple since leaving the show. Rashida was there too, representing one of her brands. Eyewitnesses claimed the atmosphere turned icy the moment their eyes met. Rashida reportedly muttered something under her breath as she passed Jasmine, who stopped in her tracks and spun around. Voices were raised, phones came out, and within minutes, shaky videos of the confrontation flooded TikTok. In one clip, Rashida can be heard saying, "You'll never be me," while Jasmine fired back, "I don't want to be why, want to be free." The crowd gasped, and security quickly separated them, but the damage was already done. The showdown dominated headlines for weeks, with fans arguing over who had won the exchange. Carly Red, of course, wasted no time inserting herself. She posted a reaction video to the gala incident, sipping champagne and smirking at the camera. Did y'all see what I saw? That wasn't just drama, that was war. Her commentary, though petty, added even more fuel to the fire, ensuring the incident remained the most talked about moment of the year. As for Yandy, she doubled down on her tough love stance. On her own Instagram Live, she told fans, at the end of the day, if you quit, you lose. That's facts. Kirk and Jasmine can say they're choosing peace, but I call it running away. Her words drew sharp criticism, with many accusing her of lacking compassion. Still, her unfiltered honesty kept her at the center of the debate, even as fans dragged her in the comments. But just when it seemed the drama had peaked, a bombshell interview dropped that shook everything to its core. Jasmine appeared on a popular talk show, sitting across from a sympathetic host. Her voice steady but her eyes filled with emotion. For the first time, she told her side of the story. They made me out to be a homewrecker, a villain, someone who didn't deserve respect, she said. But what you didn't see was the pressure behind the scenes, the manipulation, the way they pitted us against each other for ratings. I stayed quiet for years, but I won't stay quiet anymore. Her words sent chills through the audience, and the clip went viral instantly. Fans who once vilified her began rallying behind her, calling her brave for exposing the truth. Kirk joined the interview halfway through, his usual bravado stripped away. I made mistakes. I played into the drama, but they used me, too. They used us both. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is the money worth the pain? The audience erupted in applause. For the first time, Kirk and Jasmine weren't just messy reality stars, they were survivors of an exploitative system. The fallout was immediate. The network released a statement denying Jasmine's claims, calling her accusations baseless and defamatory. But the damage was already done. Public opinion shifted dramatically, with fans now viewing the couple not as villains but as whistleblowers. Hashtags like #WeStandWithJasmine and #FreeTheFrosts began trending. Petitions circulated demanding that the network be investigated for unethical practices. Suddenly, the power dynamic had flipped completely. Rashida, however, refused to play along with the sympathy narrative. She went on social media and posted a video of her own, her tone sharp and unapologetic. Y'all can believe what you want, but don't rewrite history. Jasmine knew exactly what she was doing. Kirk knew exactly what he was doing. They weren't victims, they were willing participants until it stopped benefiting them. Her stance divided fans further, creating a storm of arguments online. Some praised her for speaking truth. Others accused her of bitterness and denial. But either way, she remained a central figure in the chaos. The tension between Rashida and Jasmine reached a boiling point during another public event. This time, they didn't hold back. Witnesses described it as an explosion years in the making. Screaming matches erupted, security was forced to intervene, and by the end of the night, both women were trending globally. The confrontation cemented their rivalry as one of the most iconic feuds in reality TV history, rivaling even the biggest clashes of the past. Through it all, Kirk remained caught in the middle, torn between defending Jasmine and acknowledging Rashida's pain. His attempts to stay neutral only made things worse, with fans accusing him of being spineless. At one point, he broke down during an Instagram live, tears streaming down his face as he said, "I just wanted peace. I never wanted it to go this far." That vulnerable moment went viral, but instead of sympathy, it sparked outrage. "You caused this," fans commented. "You lit the fire, now deal with the flames." As the dust settled, one thing became clear. Kirk and Jasmine's departure from the show wasn't just a storyline, it was a cultural reset. They had exposed the cracks in reality TV, forced fans to question what they were consuming, and created a legend that would live on long after the cameras stopped rolling. Whether you loved them or hated them, one truth was undeniable: Kirk and Jasmine had changed the game forever. And in that change lay the ultimate twist. They hadn't just walked away, they had taken the power with them. The aftermath of Jasmine's interview rippled through the entertainment world like an earthquake. Overnight, she went from villain to victim, from scandal to survivor. Headlines that once mocked her now painted her as a woman reclaiming her narrative. Jasmine breaks her silence. Read one glossy magazine cover. Another boldly declared, "From side chick to truth teller." It was the kind of narrative shift that rarely happened in reality television, where roles were usually locked in stone. But Jasmine had done the unthinkable. She had rewritten the script. Kirk, though, didn't enjoy the same redemption arc. For years, he had been the face of betrayal, the man whose every move seemed to confirm the worst stereotypes about unfaithful partners. Even as he shed tears and spoke of exploitation, fans weren't as quick to forgive. Jasmine was exploited, but Kirk exploited everyone. One viral tweet said bluntly. That sentiment echoed across platforms. While Jasmine was embraced as a phoenix rising from the ashes, Kirk was still chained to his past mistakes. And yet, in a twisted way, that only added to the drama. Because no matter how people felt about him, they couldn't stop talking about him. Meanwhile, Rashida refused to let Jasmine dominate the narrative. She launched her own press run, appearing on talk shows and podcasts where she gave her version of events. "People love to play victim when it suits them," she said on one show, her voice icy. "But let's not pretend. She chose this life. She chose to insert herself in my marriage, and now she wants to cry about the consequences. I don't buy it." The audience gasped, but Rashida didn't flinch. Her words reignited the feud, sparking another wave of online wars. Fans took sides with renewed passion. Memes flooded Instagram, TikTok reenactments dramatized the love triangle all over again. And Twitter Spaces lit up with heated debates lasting until dawn. Carly Red, never one to be left out of chaos, began teasing a tell-all book. "I've seen things," she said in a sly Instagram post. "Things y'all wouldn't believe. When this book drops, the truth about Kirk, Jasmine, and even Rashida is gonna blow your minds." Whether she actually had inside knowledge or was just stirring the pot didn't matter. The tease alone sparked enough chatter to keep her relevant. And fan theories about what secrets she might expose dominated timelines for days. Yandi, meanwhile, maintained her tough stance but started facing backlash of her own. Fans accused her of hypocrisy, pointing out her own past controversies. Old clips resurfaced of her dodging questions about her marriage. And suddenly, she found herself trending alongside the Frost drama. Instead of being the voice of reason, she became another target of fan scrutiny. Funny how Yandi talks about being strong, but when it was her mess, she stayed silent. One viral comment read, "The tide was turning against her," proving that in the world of reality TV, no one was safe from the court of public opinion. The tension exploded again when paparazzi caught Jasmine and Rashida at the same upscale restaurant in Buckhead. Eyewitnesses said the two locked eyes across the room, and the atmosphere turned electric. Within minutes, they were at each other's throats. "Stay out of my business," Rashida reportedly shouted, her voice carrying across the dining hall. Jasmine shot back, "It's not your business if he made it mine." Diners pulled out their phones, capturing shaky footage of the altercation as security rushed to separate them. The videos hit the internet instantly, trending under the hashtag Restaurant Rumble. Fans replayed the clips endlessly, arguing over who had the upper hand. Kirk, notably absent from the confrontation, faced even more criticism for failing to control the chaos between the two women tied to his name. Commentators accused him of hiding, of letting women fight battles he created. One YouTube breakdown went viral with the title, "Kirk Frost, the eye of the storm who refuses to face it." The narrative around him grew harsher, but the attention only amplified his name in headlines. Meanwhile, whispers about the spin-off solidified into something more concrete. Anonymous insiders leaked that a streaming deal had been signed, though details remained secret. Fans speculated wildly about what the show might include. Would it follow Kirk and Jasmine rebuilding their lives away from the main cast? Would Rashida appear as a foil? Would producers lure Carly into the mix to stir chaos? The possibilities kept fans hooked, with hashtags like #FrostSpinoff and #JasmineUncut trending weekly. The original show, however, began to flounder. Ratings dipped with each new episode, and even explosive dinner fights couldn't mask the absence of Kirk and Jasmine. Viewers tuned in only to complain. "This ain't love and hip-hop without the Frost drama," one fan tweeted. Blogs reported that advertisers were growing nervous, and producers were under immense pressure to salvage the season. The irony was undeniable. The very couple the network tried to control had now become the key to its survival. At the same time, Jasmine began to glow in her newfound role. She signed endorsement deals, appeared in fashion shoots, and even hinted at launching her own podcast. In one interview, she said calmly, "I'm finally telling my story, my way. No edits, no villains, no producers pulling strings." Fans praised her confidence, hailing her as an inspiration. The transformation was so stark that even some of her harshest critics admitted she had changed the game. But Rashida wasn't backing down. In a bold move, she released a diss track, something she hadn't done in years. The song, thinly veiled, took shots at fake victims, side chicks turned martyrs, and men too weak to hold a crown. The track set the internet ablaze. Fans dissected every lyric, debating whether she had gone too far or if she was simply reclaiming her voice. The song trended for days, fueling the fire of the feud and reminding everyone that Rashida wasn't just a businesswoman, she was still an artist. And she was ready to fight through music. Kirk's response was almost laughable in comparison. He posted a video of himself in the studio, nodding along to a beat, muttering, "Y'all don't even know what's coming." Fans mocked him relentlessly, flooding his comments with clown emojis. Yet, others speculated that he might be planning his own diss track or even a collaboration with Jasmine. The possibility of music entering the saga added a new layer of intrigue, pulling even more attention to the drama. The chaos reached its peak when a major award show invited both Jasmine and Rashida to attend. Fans held their breath, waiting for the inevitable explosion. On the red carpet, reporters swarmed both women, asking about each other. Jasmine, radiant in a sleek gown, smirked and said, "I don't chase shadows. I shine on my own." Minutes later, Rashida, equally glamorous, shot back with her own line. "Some people mistake the spotlight for validation. I don't need it, I create it." The indirect shots sent the internet into a frenzy. Clips of their statements went viral within hours, dominating headlines the next morning. And in the background, Kirk lingered like a ghost, neither fully present nor entirely absent. His name was still the one tying everything together, the thread that connected Jasmine's redemption and Rashida's fury. But he no longer controlled the narrative. The women did, and that shift, subtle, yet seismic, marked the true turning point of the saga. By now, one thing was clear. This was no longer just about a show. It was about power, identity, and survival in a world that thrived on chaos. Kirk and Jasmine may have walked away, but in doing so, they had created a storm so powerful that it couldn't be contained by cameras, producers, or contracts. It lived in the headlines, in the tweets, in the endless conversations of fans who couldn't stop watching Evan when there was nothing left to see. And as the dust settled from yet another explosive chapter, the only question that remained was simple: how much further could this go before it consumed everything in its path?